Okay, so this is Noctua from UVI and Venus Theory. Juan is here to help me out with this demo today. Maybe just a quick tour around the interface first. So you notice these 1, 2, 3 sections in the interface. So that's giving you one control, one place to control the frequency of the filter for the different sort of oscillators or sound sources in here. And there is the 1, 2, 3 buttons, and you can see that the filter cutoff changes as I go through each of these settings. You can also click this chain link icon, and they all link together. So there's all the filter frequency settings plus an ADSR setting here. So you can have it linked to the envelope here in a positive direction or a negative direction with this envelope control. Then there's one sort of sound source, 2 for the sound source, and then 3, which is just a sub. And I think it's ideal to just start with the sub frequency first. And then on the right side, we've got a tremolo, sort of just volume fluctuations. You can mix that in, you can sync that to tempo and all this stuff. There's an overall sort of effect character that you can apply to this. 1, 2, 3 for the ADSR, so 3 different ADSRs for this synth. We go over to the sequencer section. Each of the sound sources has a sequencer or a sequence built in, and you can just turn that on and off by this white circle. And then there's the overall effects settings, so you can tweak that sort of global sound setting. There's sends for reverb and delay in each of the sound sources aside from the sub. So here's how this sounds all together. That is really loud again.
I think it sounds good on the stream.
Okay. There's kind of a lot going on. There's multiple sequences playing at the same time. But if we just isolate the sub, let's mess around with the morph setting. So this is changing the wave shape, and you can see it actually in the icon here, what the wave shape looks like. I think that's a really nice addition. And then there's a frequency modulation. That's great. I love that. You can change which octave it's playing in. Pretty simple, and then a panning control. Let's turn that off and go over to the other sound source here. All right, so we're looking at sound source number 1. So here's the filter setting. Here's the amplitude setting. This one is not sequenced, so it's not going to repeat. So it's only going to play when I touch the key. So we're 2 octaves up. It's got some overdrive on it. It's got some reverb send. These sounds come from this homemade springs, rulers, contact mics, bowed metal, and stuff like that. Different sort of sounds in here. And these are sort of like atonal or non-tonal kinds of sounds. There's also analog, like synth sounds in here, and electromagnetic frequency, sort of little blips and stuff that have been sort of looped into oscillators, essentially sustaining sound sources. So I'll just go through a couple of these at random. Buzzy, gritty sort of sounds, and some of the synth sounds. They're pretty heavily filtered at the moment, but you can see that, like, if you like a preset for the way that it moves or the effects, you can easily make it your own by just tweaking one of the sound sample sources. And then again, the next section is all the same selections, but you can have 2 separate sort of texture layers or tonal layers along with the sub. And so all together, unmute this. And I'll just adjust the mod wheel. I think it's great.
I was thinking, is there a way in this one that you can have the sequencer playing on the second and third part, maybe, and you can only play on one of the oscillators or sources? Or do they all share the same MIDI channel or something like that?
I didn't see any way of choosing like the spread of the notes. There might be. I don't think there is. Like essentially you could filter some of it out. In the filter section, you could filter out the lows from one of the octave or one of the sound sources. But I don't think there's a way to adjust the spread of it. But I mean, you can always mute one and then or even go into the multi-view and load in a second instance, and in here choose a different MIDI channel or choose the, what page is it? Is it here? The high and low key settings.
Yeah,
all right.
Because maybe you just want to jam along a sequence, you know?
Mm-hmm. I like the sequenced ones a lot. Because programming those sorts of pulses and stuff is such a pain for me. I just like to, like, you could just play a single note on this and be inspired and instantly know what part to add next. Over a course of, I don't know, 16 bars, you fade that out as you build up the track. I think these are great sort of song starters. Let's also look at some of the lead sounds. When I looked at this last week, it was all a mystery. It all blended together. I didn't know what the hell was going on. Now that I've had some time to, like, you know, isolate just the sub, just source 1, just source 2, and then look around the interface and realize that there's these 1, 2, 3 functions, and there's a link button, and there's a mix control. All these things, they weren't immediately clear to me. If you're not paying attention when watching a walkthrough from Venus Theory, maybe you missed all that. And I really did watch the walkthrough. I just forgot it all or something, but there's a lot you can do with this, and it's a lot less intimidating now than it was on me last week. So let's take 3 and let's add in just a little bit of movement in the velocity, and let's, I don't know, link a couple of these randomly. So this is sort of like it's going to skip a note, it's going to hold a note, sort of. And let's just have it drop out completely on these 2 notes. And we can even, like, repeat. All right, so that's the wrong octave, right? Or maybe I'm just playing the wrong octave. All right, and then there's a bit of a click that I don't like. All right, got rid of the click. Now let's look at this, the mood section. Cool. Just a bit of, I don't know, bit of reverb there with that one. Bit crushing. weird atonal sort of sounds. Yeah. Wide delay. Yeah, so that's a granular thing. So yeah, obviously these are all things that you could automate or even just have on for like a couple bars. Might be cool. Just sort of like program in these sort of effect changes to make it more of a dynamic kind of performance.
Sometimes those things or those parameters could work better with some sort of switch instead of a fader, because it's so slow to go full value and back, you know, like just push a button and it goes and it comes back.
Yeah. See, I don't know where these effects are coming from, if it's a combination of all these other things. I don't know UVI's effects well enough. I know that, like, if I bypass this whole effects rack, the sound's going to change a lot.
Yeah. Let me look into it again.
But any of these parameters that I move should be available. Oh, right. You need to automate this. There is a trick. And I don't know the trick. In UVI, to make the parameters visible to Reaper, you have to right click and then assign to either a MIDI control or to just assign it to one of the slot numbers. There are 128 slots. So if I want to control the mix control, I just set that to host automation 1. And then now, touch that, parameter, last touched, effects chain mix. So so then that can go into the track envelope. In UVI, you need to assign the parameter because there's so many possible parameters within here. It'd just be kind of overwhelming to have them all listed. So I'm going to take this one, this envelope point, and then Control 2 to make it square. And I will snap to grid. Oops. And just do something like this, where it's on and off. All right. That didn't count me in. That didn't work exactly as I thought because I'm in the wrong time scale. I didn't want it to turn on and off at quarter notes. It should have been like 1 bar or something like that. But essentially, spread that out a bit. In a musical context, it would make more sense.
Repetition eventually makes it music, so don't worry about it.
So that is Noctua by Venus Theory. This is the second time we've looked at this on stream. But yeah, this is probably one of the most in-depth free plugins that has come out over the past year. Really interesting sounds. It's deeper than it might seem. Great presets, easy to tweak. Yeah, so far it works great in Reaper as well.